Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing an analysis on this story. This just came out a couple hours ago. It's a huge precedent that's happening over in the Middle East right now. So thousands of people are actually wounded right now because a suspected attack. Now, the suspicion is, of course, Israel because that's who they're in this conflict with, or this war, I should say. And I'm going to give my analysis today because a lot of people were mentioned their interest in geopolitics, so I thought I would cover this story. And I'm also going to tell you what I think happened here and how this happened. So I'm going to give my analysis today on this. So what's happened is several pagers have exploded across Lebanon, and this is suspected Hezbollah fighter pagers. So in fact, not too long ago, if you look into the news, you'll see that it says that Hezbollah had warned their fighters not to carry smartphones, that they are worse than carrying an Israeli spy. So what they did was, it sounds like they worked with couriers and then they ended up going with pagers, at least on some level. So the pager is a much more simple device. It's not as easy as a smartphone to completely take over in the same fashion, where a smartphone has so many sensors and microphones, cameras, all those things that can be used against the owner. So they must have moved to pagers. I'm not like somebody who is an expert in this conflict, but I did want to give some analysis on it, so I want to do more of a technical analysis on it. So what I see happening, and I'm going to just show this without the audio because I don't want to get this pulled down. And well, you can take a look. There's several videos everywhere. You can see how he's appearing to be buying fruit or something, this guy over here. And what happens is he gets a pager call. I'll let you go ahead and look up that audio for yourself. And as you can see, an explosion happens. So that explosion there, we'll go ahead and just see what happens here. As you can see, it really went off. I mean, that was a serious explosion, and well, obviously the guy's not all right. So 2,000 people were in this attack. Over 2,750 people were wounded at least. Now, I don't know how many people were targeted in this attack, but there's a lot of rumors going on over on social media that they think that this was possibly a firmware related attack. I mean, they didn't exactly say that, but they said they believed it was some kind of possible energy directed weapon, and there's so many different rumors going on. I decided to, kind of look into this. I'm familiar enough with laptop batteries and the BMC, the battery management controller, and so when we look at that, we can see that a BMC is something that is in modern day smart batteries. Now, this is a presentation by a Defcon talk, an actual former NSA hacker who ended up doing a talk at Defcon 19 on battery firmware hacking. Now, we all know that explosions can happen in our lithium batteries. And let's go ahead and take a quick look at what that kind of explosion looks like and comparing it to the other one, which was obviously a very high velocity explosion. Now, on the other hand, most lithium battery explosions are more so a slow buildup, some swelling, heat, and then a explosive burst of flames and a fire you just can't put out. So let's go ahead and watch what an actual battery explosion, a lithium battery, which is what most are, and we'll go ahead and watch that first. So as you can see, it bursts out. It almost looks like a thermitic reaction when you see a lithium battery explode. Let's go ahead and watch that again. So as you can see, the guy got away just in time, but he had time to get away. He still had time to get away. On the other hand, this looks more like a high explosive, just based on the fact that it is such a high velocity that this individual had no chance to even possibly get away. And so that obviously is not a standard lithium battery explosion. And from what I understand and what I've read, they're using Motorola pagers, and those Motorola pagers they actually use a single battery, a very small battery, so it would not have caused, in my opinion, it would not have caused an explosion on that level, especially a high velocity explosion like that where you can actually tell it's a high explosive. Just by watching the video, you can tell it's probably a small shaped charge, maybe little plastic in there in that pager. Now, you may be asking yourself, how's that possible? How could that happen? And we're going to go into that. Now, with the firmware part. The firmware, as we know, firmware helps our hardware communicate, and it is in the battery, because they're modern day smart batteries, there are all kinds of different sensors where you can see that, you can sniff the difference, the different readings here. So you have capacity readings. You also have things like you have temperature. So if it gets too hot, the BMC may shut down. And what happens is that can be a locked battery. So you may find yourself, if you ever have a laptop battery that just won't charge, it's possible that you ran through all the cycles, but it's also possible that you have a locked battery. And that can happen when something sets off the smart battery sensors to prevent danger. So to prevent that kind of explosion of laptops like we saw in this video here. And we've heard about people's smartphones exploding on planes, things like that. So it seriously can be dangerous. So if you ever notice battery swelling, get rid of that battery. It's just a good idea. You may still be able to use it, but it's just not recommended. You don't want to deal with that. And obviously, that's what happened in this case, this particular laptop, but he had plenty of time to get away, unlike in the explosions that you will see on this. So in my honest opinion, this was not someone using the firmware to create or to change the readings, to ignore the readings, to cause this explosion using some kind of directed energy weapon or some kind of remote microwave attack. I don't believe that was what it was. So we know that, and what could it be? Well, let's take another look at another Defcon talk and just kind of take a look at what it would look like if a high explosion was in it. Now, this is obviously a much larger explosion, but I'll let you guys watch it. Interesting talk. Zaz always gives great talks at Defcon, so do check out Zaz. This is about destroying devices and data. So basically, for paranoid people, he's just going through several different options for, and it's an interesting talk. If you just wonder what could happen to a device with all kinds of different things built in, well, this is what could happen. Obviously, a much higher amount than what we see in the pager. So obviously a major blast there, but if you've ever seen, high explosives go off, if you could take a look at random videos on the internet to see, small charges that look nearly identical to what we saw in this particular video and all of the others. So as mentioned, 2,000 people were injured in this attack, and like it mentions, I didn't want to play all the audio because it's just a little graphic and I don't want to put you guys through that. The conflict over there, I'm not keeping up with it. I should probably, because it seems like we're going to all be dragged into World War III. So what could have happened here? How could these pagers all have gone off at the same time? What could have caused this? Well, as mentioned, I personally believe it was some kind of high explosive. That's my personal opinion, just based on the video itself. And also, that we do know that different intelligence agencies do intercept things. So for example, when we go back to this, we can see that there's actually known interceptions. And when you go back to the Snowden leaks, they also talk about how people who basically order computers and other devices can have those computer deliveries, pager deliveries, all those things can be intercepted. And if you're taking a look at lithium battery explosions, I think you'll see the difference for yourself. And I'm just giving this based on my own visual analysis, based on videos I've watched on the internet, that This does not look like a lithium battery explosion at all. It does not look like that. But could someone potentially hack the firmware and cause a lithium battery to explode in its own way? Absolutely. I do believe that. And that's kind of what this former NSA worker was talking about at this great Defcon talk. So if you have an interest in this story, make sure to share it and let people know what may have really happened in these attacks. I thought it would be interesting to just kind of cover it in a way. I've always had an interest in these kinds of things because it's just interesting stuff, surveillance, privacy, all that stuff really fascinates me, and I enjoy talking about it, and that's why I have this channel. So if you like the video, make sure to like it, leave a comment, let me know, what do you think happened in this? Do you think it was a lithium battery explosion? Do you think it was some kind of directed energy attack? Do you think it was maybe a microwave attack that was set to cause the sensors to be disabled, to increase the energy within the lithium battery to cause and overload it into an explosion? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll be back later with more on geopolitics, how to protect your security and privacy.